sweet hour of prayer, my knees shall my petition bear. To him whose truth and faithfulness engage the waiting soul to rest. And since he bids me seek his face, believe his word and trust his grace, I'll custom in my every care and wait for the sweet hour of prayer. Great start. All right, if everybody will turn over to page number 83, we'll sing Unless the Lord Shall Build the House, after which we'll get Mr. Johnny Padilla to come to our opening prayer. Page number 83. Unless the Lord shall build the house, the weary builders toil in vain. Unless the Lord the city shields, the guards maintain a useless watch. In vain you rise their morning gray, and let your nightly vigils keep, and bread of anxious care partake. God gives to his beloved sleep. The children are the gift of God, and sons and blessings he commands. These whom in youthful days bestowed are like the shafts in warriors' hands, and mighty they whose quivers bear full store of arrows such as these. They in the gate are free from fear, and longing face their enemies. That man is blessed who fears the Lord, who lives and walks in all his ways. For of his labor shall he eat, and he shall prosper all his days. His wife shall be a fruitful vine, his children all like olive plants. Behold the man who fears the Lord, to him his blessings will afford. Thank you, and now for our opening prayer today, Mr. Johnny Padilla.
Our Heavenly Merciful Father, we come before you on this Sabbath day, Father, to give you praise, to give you thanks, and also to sing to you, Father, and also and also for your Son, also, Father, for he does so much for us. And Father, we don't come here to focus on ourselves, but to focus on you, Father. And as we come in your scriptures, Father, we are focused on you, and all the scriptures is about you, Father, your righteousness and your truth, Father. It's all on you, Father, and that's why we're here, so we can learn and just follow your ways, Father, for it be better for us all. And Father, do ask to inspire everyone here and over the internet, and send out your blessing, and as we go into our Bible study, and Joe lead it, and we continue to gain truths and understanding as we read your scriptures, Father, and to know more about you and also your Son, and also for those not able to be here with us, be with them and cover them also with your Spirit and also with us. And also for those on the infirmity, may you touch them and heal them or comfort them in your special ways, Father, because your ways is precious and righteous over them. And all this we ask In your Son's name, amen.
Thank you, Johnny. A couple of announcements this morning. It says, good morning and welcome to tomorrow's Church of God, not yesterday's Church of God, and welcome to all of our online viewers. You can download well, actually you don't need to because we don't have a scripture today, so I always go into that. You don't have to do that today. But if you can go to our website under audio and video, and this is just good practice for next week or the week after when we do have a main message. And you can get the scriptures for the main message. It's a select scripture handout, and you'll find a PDF file that you can print out right there. And again, welcome to all of our online viewers. No matter how you're watching us, we do have several platforms that you can watch on. We are on Rumble, Facebook, YouTube, and Roku. If you do look for us on Roku, we are under the Sabbath channel. And if you wouldn't mind, please taking the time to hit that like and subscribe button on any one of those platforms. That kind of helps to keep us relevant in the world of the .coms, and also kind of helps us know where we should focus our attention to help spread the word even more. You can also share it with your friends. If you'd like one of our 2024 calendars, you are quickly running out of time. We have about a week and a half left. But good news, we are in the process of making the 2025 calendars, and so we'll have those fairly soon, hopefully, that you can go. But if you want just a 2024 calendar to take a look at what happened over the last 12 months, send your name and address into an email to tomorrowtcog@gmail.com. You can also, as you're asking to find out what happened last year, say, hey, go ahead and send me one of those 2025s whenever you get when you get those in. You can also find our 2024 calendar online under thetcog.com. Just select literature, then calendars, and once we have the 2025 ready to go, we can post it out there so you'll have access to both. Now, the dates in the calendars are subject to change based on the new moon physical observations. For our Bible study today, we're going to be covering not Deuteronomy. I'm way off. I hope I did the right ones. Numbers 31 and 32. And if you'd like to ask your questions, simply go online to thetcog.com again. You can go under TCOG streaming, and you can ask your comments or make comments in that comment section. Ron will be manning that, and it's always nice to get to find out people are actually watching us as we're going live. So if you do that, Ron will get that information over to us, and we'll hopefully try to address it before the end of the Bible study. Now on your screen, you should see the prayer list for this week. If you would please keep everybody on this list in your thoughts and prayers along with all their family members. I know that they would greatly appreciate it. All right, and any other announcements or anything that we need to cover? I know we got a couple announcements. We got a gentleman here that it will be turning 65 years on this planet tomorrow, Mr. Robert King. Happy birthday to you, sir. And then also my lovely wife. Today is her 40th year, starting their 40th year on this planet. So happy birthday to you, baby. If there's any other birthdays or anything, let us know. We'll be glad to say it. But I think that's all that's this coming week. Is that correct? I think so. All right. All right. So now for our Bible study. Again, we're doing 31 and 32. We'll just do 31 first just to kind of keep it in order. And since we're going in order, let's just start in verse 1. How about? It says, Yahweh says to Moses, get even with the Midianites for what they did to the Israelites. After that, you will join your ancestors in death. Moses said to the people, some of your men must get ready to go to war against the Midianites. Yahweh will use them to get even with Midian. Send 1,000 men from each of the tribes of Israel. So 1,000 men from each tribe were supplied from the divisions of Israel, 12,000 men ready for war. Then Moses sent them off to war, 1,000 men from each tribe, along with Phinehas, son of the priest Eleazar. Phinehas took with him the holy articles and the trumpets for the fanfare. They went to war against Midian, and Yahweh commanded Moses, and kill every man. Among those killed were the 5 kings of Midian, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, in the battle. The Israelites took the Midianites' women and children as prisoners of war. They also took all their animals, their livestock, and their valuables as loot. They burned all the cities where the Midianites lived and all their settlements. Then they took everything as loot, including all the people and animals, and brought the prisoners of war, the loot, and everything to Moses, the priest Eleazar, and the community of Israel at the camp on the plains of Moab near the Jordan River across from Jericho. Verse 13, Moses, the priest Eleazar, and the leaders of the community went outside the camp to meet them. Moses was angry with the officers of the army, the commanders of the companies and battalions who were returning from battle. Why did you let all the women live? He asked them. Remember, they were the ones who followed Balaam's advice and caused the Israelites to be unfaithful to Yahweh in the incident that took place at Peor. Yahweh's community experienced a plague at that time, so kill all the Midianite boys and every Midianite woman who has gone to bed with a man. But say for yourself, every girl has never gone to bed with a man. Everyone who killed a person or touched a dead body must stay outside the camp 7 days. You and your prisoners of war must use the ritual water on the 3rd and 7th days in order to take away your sin. Do the same for all the clothes and everything made of leather, goat's hair, or wood. Then the priest Eleazar said to the soldiers who had gone to battle, "This is what Yahweh's teachings told Moses to do. Any gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, or lead, anything that won't burn, must be put through the fire in order to make it clean. Then it must also be put through the ritual water in order to take away its sin. Whatever might burn must only be put through the ritual water. On the 7th day, wash your clothes, and you will be clean. Then you may come into the camp." Yahweh said to Moses, "You, the priest Eleazar, and the heads of the families of the community need to count all the loot, including the people and animals you captured. Divide the loot between the soldiers who served in war and the rest of the community. Collect a tax for Yahweh from the soldiers who served in the war. Collect 1 out of every 500 things. This includes people, cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Collect all these things from the soldiers' half of the loot and give them to the priest Eleazar as a contribution to Yahweh. From the Israelites' half of the loot, collect 1 out of every 50 things. This includes people, cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, and every other kind of animal. Give them to the Levites who are in charge of the work done in Yahweh's tent." Moses and the priest Eleazar did as Yahweh commanded Moses. This is the loot that was left from everything that the troops took: 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, 32,000 women who had never gone to bed with a man. Half of it went to the soldiers who served in the war. Of the 337,500 sheep and goats they received, 675 went to Yahweh's taxes. Of the 36,000 cattle that they received, 72 went to Yahweh as taxes. Of the 30,500 donkeys they received, 61 went to Yahweh as taxes. Of the 16,000 people they received, 32 went to Yahweh as taxes. Moses gave Yahweh's taxes to the priest Eleazar, and as Yahweh had commanded him. Moses took the Israelites' half of the loot from the soldiers. The community received 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. From the Israelites' half, Moses collected 1 out of every 50 things, including people and animals, as Yahweh commanded him. Then he gave them to the Levites who were in charge of the work done at Yahweh's tent. Then the officers from the military divisions and commanders of the companies and battalions of men came to Moses. They said to him, "Sir, we have counted all the soldiers under the command, and not one of them is missing. So we have brought as gifts to Yahweh the gold jewelry that each of us found, armbands, bracelets, signet rings, earrings, and pendants. We offer them to make peace with the Eternal." Moses and the priest Eleazar took all the handcrafted gold articles from them. All the gold contributed to Yahweh by the commanders weighed 420 pounds. Each soldier kept his own loot. Moses and the priest Eleazar took the gold from the commanders and brought it into Yahweh's presence at the tent of meeting as a reminder to the Israelites. All right. And there is chapter 31. What kind of comments or questions do we have? Yes, ma'am. I already saw the hand going up even before I asked.
So on 17, when they, brought all the people back and the Midianite boys and women were killed, but the girls, that didn't know, were they little girls or were they young girls?
They were young girls. Yes, ma'am. So the question was in chapter 17, just so everybody online can hear, it said, kill all the Midianite boys and every Midianite woman who has gone to bed with a man. And the question was, so what were the girls that, what age range were these girls? And typically under puberty, if you remember back in chapters 22 through 24, when we had Balak and Balaam, they were using these prostitute women basically to seduce the Israelite men, and it brought a plague upon Israelite. And so this was I'm going to say, that doesn't give it an exact age, but I mean they could have been 30 if they were still a virgin and unmarried, then they were okay. It was all the women who had been with a man before.
But why were the little boys killed?
Because in that error, in that idea, and actually even today, let's say that somebody were to kill your father, it is in the nature of the little boy to want to provide revenge for that murder. I mean, this is just something that God put into us, where the little boys, the children, little boy children of their slain father would want to take revenge. And so they killed all the Midianite boys, not just the older soldiers that were at war, but all the men of the Midianites to prevent that from happening. All right, I got one right here with Robert, and I'll get right back to you, Charlie.
I believe, if I remember right, this incident right here is what also provoked the fear of God in the people that were on the other side of it. What was that, Jordan, what was that city?
The city on the other side of the Jordan. I can't remember exactly what it was.
What was that? It was the one that the walls fell down.
Jericho?
You talking about Jericho?
Jericho.
Okay.
Am I right? I mean, this.
Well, I mean, they did a whole lot, right? So not only this instance right here, but they took over the Amorites. I can't remember all the different territories that they took over, but they took over several countries right above the Moabs on there.
Yeah.
And then, so they did that. Anytime they went, this instance right here, I think would provide or provoke a lot of fear and angst for the country that you're about to go into, because not one of this is only 12,000 soldiers.
Yeah.
If you look, just have a look at the number of cattle and girls that were in here, the 12,000 soldiers annihilated a much larger, a much more numerous army than the Israelites did. And so you had 12,000 men that went out and completely destroyed the fighting department for the Midianites in this region.
Yeah, I'm just saying, it was these kinds of incidences.
Absolutely.
These battles, this wasn't the only one, of
Yeah.
course, but these types of battles is what provoked the fear
Yes.
on the other side, knowing that that's where they were headed.
Exactly. So that's a great comment on there, and you're 100% right. This is the kind of rumors that start to circulate in the country that that they're about to come to, and provides the fear for them. Absolutely. Great comment. Let me get Charlotte real quick, and then I'll get you back there, Ron.
I have two questions. One was to Lydia's. You said that some of the women could be like 30 years old and be virgins.
Right.
How would you know?
They tested. Was it there? I don't know exactly how.
Okay.
But there is a process that marks that. I don't know if that was done. I just know that was the requirement on here, is they had to be virgins. And so we typically think of younger girls, but there could have been single women of older ages that were still virgins, unmarried, that could have been part of this also.
Okay. And on, let's see, it's verse 1.
Verse 1. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, after that you will join your ancestors in death.
Okay. Yeah, that's in verse. I've got it in verse 2. Is yours say verse 1?
Oh,
It was
it's two.
in two, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
First,
Okay. No, I want to make sure I was on the same place.
It is
Yeah.
verse two.
So that's what God said to Moses. right? Hey, I want you to lead this, have this army mustered up, and go attack and take revenge for the Midianites for what they did. And this is going to be your last hurrah with us.
So you're just talking to Moses.
Just talking to
I thought
Moses
he was talking
specifically.
to-
No, he was just talking to Moses on there. And so we're coming up to Moses' last days in here. And can you imagine being told that, hey, this is what I want you to do, and then I've got no more use for you, basically, on there. Hey, I'm sure he said it in a much nicer way, I guess. But again, they were friends, and they talked quite often. But yeah, just knowing that, I would think would be absolutely amazing. Or not amazing, but scary on there. Let me get Ron real quick. He had his hand up, and I'll get right back to you.
Well, I was going to say, if it was just 12,000, one out of each tribe, that would have been the best, or the cream of the crop.
Cream of the crop. Yeah, exactly. And there's I didn't write it down here. There was a specific word for these troops, and it was basically like your Delta Force, right? It was the cream of the crop, the soldiers. And as a matter of fact, when we get into the next chapter, it's the same word that you used when Reuben and Gad say, hey, we're going to have our soldiers go with you. It's their specific elite fighting force, awesome guys. Let's say something else.
These weren't just farmers and rangers. These were truly people that were training on a regular basis for battle, not just came in off the fields and started fighting.
Absolutely. We've talked throughout this whole Bible study process of the Ruach, and so maybe that they had a Ruach of war or battle, because Joshua, he's basically their war commander now. Moses was their spiritual leader, their guide between God, and now Joshua is going to be their commanding leader on there. And so I don't know, it didn't say specifically, but maybe that's a part of it that went to, or takes place here. Yes, ma'am.
Kind of back to the first question.
All right, we're going back to Lydia's question. She had the best question so far.
I need to
Okay,
come back.
I got you.
In verse 26,
26.
yeah, it says, take the sum of the prey that was taken, both of man and of animal. They had killed all the men, so is this just a lump, the
Yes.
man race, whatever?
The what? I'm going to say that more
Just
time.
a group of humanity, not men per
Not
se.
men.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just the wording on there, and it's just the women that are left on there because they killed all the fighting men during war. They killed all the non-fighting boys afterwards, and they killed all the women who had been with the band before at that time. It wasn't that much left. And as a matter of fact, it says in here there was 32,000 women left
Wow, that's a lot.
out of it. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But think about how many they went in and had to eliminate.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Johnny, you raised your hand a long time ago. I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Now, I was going to say, okay, when it comes to the babies, okay, there's male babies and there's female babies. Those also got slaughtered,
Yeah, any male.
any
Wow.
male, but even
Babies.
baby,
Babies.
female
Yeah,
babies.
according to what it says here, all the males, the boys.
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about females.
Oh no, not the females.
No.
Just the little. I mean, if you had a 6-month-old boy or a year-old boy, they were
No, I'm talking
eliminated.
about infants.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, according to what it says here, if we go off the face of what it says, the question for everybody online to make sure they heard is, Johnny's question was, okay, it says kill everybody, all the boys, but what about the infants? Is that considered a separate category? And it doesn't
Doesn't
say, it doesn't specify. So I'm going to go with, based off what it says here, that every boy,
Wow.
2 days old, 3 years old, doesn't matter. Any males that were left alive were then eliminated.
Okay. And next, wanted to, this is more like a comment. Okay, who were the Midianites or Midians? And it goes all the way back to Abraham. His second son was called Midian, and his mother was Keturah. So it's coming from that lineage, from Abraham, but from the wife Keturah. But for God's
Isaac?
covenant people, Israel, it come from Isaac or from Abraham, and Abraham's wife would be what is it? I wrote it here, Sarah.
Yeah.
So that lineage is is coming from God. That'd be God's covenant in that lineage.
Right, and so I have to go with you on that. I don't remember what it would have been his third son. Because remember, his first son was Ishmael, because it was the handmaiden, and Sarah got tired of waiting and said, "Hey, take my handmaiden." And then he had Ishmael, and then Abraham sent him off, right, with his mother, and then had Isaac. And so Midian, would that be a third son? I'm not familiar on that, or not familiar, but I just don't remember.
I
on
think it would be the third.
So it's got to be the third son. Was called, his name was
Third
Midian.
wife.
Third wife, or second handmaid, I guess.
Yeah.
And third son, Midian on there. And it doesn't say a whole lot about him. I know that one of the thoughts, or actually one of the details in here is it says kill all the Midianites. They didn't kill every Midianite, because Midianites stretched all over the place. Aaron's wife was a Midianite. His father-in-law was a Midianite. So the Midianites were a very large race of people, not race, but a large population of people that were all throughout the Middle East there. They killed all the Midianites in this region that caused the problem basically on there. Because we'll see Midianites throughout the Bible.
There were no nomads. They moved from place to place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And give them all kinds of problem to any tribe that comes across. They come across to
Right.
That's the way they were. They're pretty aggressive in their ways.
Yeah, no, but I didn't take it all the way back to Abraham. But so thanks for pointing that out on there. I knew that like I said, Moses, his father-in-law Jethro, his wife, they were Midianites. So Midianites play a big part in this throughout this whole thing. And I know that I don't believe that they killed Moses' wife, or I think Jethro had already gone home at that time, and Moses was pretty old, so I don't know if he was still around anymore. But they only killed the Midianites in this region, so they didn't completely eliminate. Just the troublemakers that caused Israel to sin, that then caused that plague that went through. And the only thing that stopped that plague, if y'all remember, was Phinehas took a spear and stabbed the Israelite man and the woman at the same time. And so that stopped that plague that was going on during that time. And that's the reason he first dealt with Israel, giving them the plague. And I think 22,000 people died or something to that effect. There was a lot of people who died of that plague. And then he took care of the outside part. You'll notice in the Bible, he always takes care of Israel first and then everybody else as we go along here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Let me get Johnny. Is that
Were
it?
you finished?
Yeah, I'm done for now.
Okay, done for now. Lady, go ahead.
So of the 32,000 women that were left, well, what happened to them? Where did they go?
61, I think. Yeah, 61. No. I think 61 went to the Eleazar, the high priest Eleazar.
Right.
And so all the soldiers' loot and their percentage, the 1/50th or 1/500th actually of the soldiers, that all went to Eleazar personally, and then his family on there. All the other half that went to the Israelites, they got a tax of 1/50th. So a lot more came out of the Israelites' portion, and those women actually went to the Kohath. The Kohath, who actually, they were the Levite tribe who actually dealt with the interior of, actually probably, now that I think about it, it was probably the Kohath, and there's another one, I can't remember the other name of the family, that did the outside of the tabernacle and the inside, so they were split up amongst those families of Levites.
So all those women went there?
Say again?
To the Levites? So all the women that
all the taxes went to the Levites. So they were considering a 50th and a 500th of the prisoners of war, basically is what they were then given to the high priest and the Levites. The remaining amount were divided up in the soldiers, and then of their half, and then the other half went to the Israelites, and were assimilated in. More or less, they became like a bondservant for those different groups. What are the comments, questions? Yes, sir.
Eventually, I mean, they were all just married into families.
Eventually, absolutely.
And then they just all become Israelites.
Yeah.
I mean, through generational process.
Correct.
They're going to just become Israelites.
They're just going to become, to Robert's point, after enough time, they're just going to become Israelites on there. But they basically become, it's a hard way for us to say, but they became a property of that family.
Yeah.
But then they were also supposed to be taken care of like a member of that family.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't like we see with, where we get all the bad examples of, there were horrendous things that were happening, but they were also supposed to be taken in and treated like family,
Yes.
according to the Israelite way. Yes, sir.
Well, that brings up an interesting thought. Was there some kind of dowry involved whenever they?
If they were considered a family member, then they should have had a dowry when they got married off. If they got married off, I don't know if they, all of them got married off or not. That's a great question. I don't know a definitive answer to that. My assumption, which that I'll take that with a grain of salt, is if you were considered to be part of the family, you would get a dowry just like everybody else would.
But giving them to those specific, like the high priest and stuff, doesn't he become the de facto father of the?
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, you would almost assume that there would be a dowry.
Well, think about. Well, I always thought, oh man, the Levites, they just got the shaft. They didn't get in. They're getting a lot of, and then it's there. That's Eleazar's. Becomes his property on there, and I'm sure he paid the tenth for all of his stuff, and you can redeem your bondservants and everything else, so you don't have to. Just so everybody knows, you don't have to kill it to sacrifice, but you can redeem it, and then it becomes your property. The Levite families became family. It was a wealthy place to be. If when it was done right and done correctly, it was a wealthy place to be.
Well, they also got a percentage of all the.
Absolutely, your tithes, right? So your normal tithe. This was what do they call this? They called this one a tax in my Bible. Does anybody have a different Bible, different version? I wanted to see what they called it.
What verse?
So that would have been. I'm looking for the exact word. It was in this 25 through 31.
Like 40 says,
40?
to Yahweh as taxes.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Verse 40. Mine says, of the 16,000 people that were received, 32 went to Yahweh as taxes.
This one says tribute.
Tribute? Okay. Maybe an offering or I'm not sure what the exact word on there. That's different than a tithe. So, to your point, they got this as a tribute or a tax or an offering, but then they would get a tithe based off of everything that the other 12 tribes of Israel would do.
This was not considered a tithe.
This was not a tithe, no. What other comments, question? I see people just rattling back and forth in the Bible stuff.
Yeah.
From verse 37 on down to 40 to 41, in mine it says tribute on all of those.
Okay.
That's what mine says too.
Tribute.
Mine too.
I guess what's the definition of a tribute, right? It's basically a tax, an offering, a portion. It's almost like
tribute usually is defined as giving to the government. In
Okay.
a sense, like a Roman.
like in
a
Roman times.
government would be a tribute to Caesar, and then to the military and to the senators and whatever. It's a tribute back to the government. So,
Gotcha. Well,
that's different.
I agree with you on that. But so was their tithes, and their tithes were also given back to the Levites, which ran their government. Right. That was the whole duty of we think of the Levites as just taking care of the high priest and taking care of the temple, but there were several other families that were responsible for basically your civil service throughout. They had to go out and take care of people. They had to go out and do all kinds of different things. So they were basically the Levites were set up as the government function of the Israelite community. Yes, ma'am.
Wouldn't the tribute also be like a free will offering?
Sure. No, but I'm going to say no on that one.
Okay.
Because they didn't come up and say, "Hey guys, yes, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give 1/500." No, they were told how much to give on there. It's the only reason I agree. It was
It wasn't free will.
it wasn't free will exactly. They were told, "Hey, this is what I want you to give," and they did it. And so if that's free will, then
It's
there you
a
go.
command from God to Moses.
Exactly. It was a commandment.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and they said, "Yes, sir." Yeah. What other comments we got? Yes, ma'am.
On 49, where,
49.
where they counted and all the soldiers, not one of them was missing. So that's kind of like
That's
amazing,
unheard of.
right?
That is a miracle. The question was in verse 49, it says, "They said to him, 'Sir, we have counted all the soldiers under our command, and not one of them is missing.'" That means that not one of the 12,000 soldiers was killed as they went and conquered this entire Midianite region. And you see the spoils that were taken off of it. And one thing I wanted to point out is down here in verse 52, it says, "All the gold contributed to Yahweh by the commanders weighed 420 pounds. That was not contributed by the soldiers. That was only the commanders of these soldiers. You have commanders of hundreds, commanders of thousands. So you didn't have more than, what would that have been, if 200 people? So they each got a pound of gold. In today's value, I actually did calculate this out. I just wanted to give you an idea. So in today's value, there's 420 pounds, right, is what it says. So there's 16 ounces in a pound. Each ounce right now, I looked it up this morning, is $2,640.50. So that was $42,248 per person or per pound, or $17,744,160.
Wow.
And that was a free will offering.
It was per person.
Well, it doesn't say how many. It just says the commanders. But if you
17 million.
over 17 million in today's value, and that, to your point earlier, that was a free will offering. They weren't told to do this. The commanders went and said, "Oh my goodness,
Yeah, yeah.
this is definitely God at work. We're going to give you all of our loot that just the commanders got." And then I believe it says the soldiers kept their own loot. So the individual soldiers got some earrings or bracelets or whatever. They kept that, but the commanders gave $17 million in today's value as a free will offering, and they gave that. I think they gave that directly to Eleazar. Let me see. No, well, they gave it to the Eternal, so that went to the Levites.
Moses and the priest Eleazar took the gold.
Yeah.
And all the gold contributed to Yahweh by the commander. Okay, they kept Moses took the gold from the commanders and brought it to Yahweh's presence. It went into the tent of meeting. So there you go. They took $17 million worth of gold in today's value into the tent of meeting. And one of the things too that they were talking about was anything that didn't burn, right? So the iron and the copper and the lead and the gold and silver, all that, they would purify it by fire. I believe what that's saying, and correct me if anybody knows for sure, is they would melt it down.
Yep.
So they would get all these
Won't it melt?
bracelets and earrings and everything else that were they had pagan gods all over it, and they took that and they would just melt it down and get rid of all those images, and then say it again. Impurities, yeah, and get rid of all the impurities and the pagan symbols on there, but still be able to use that. They took that unholy gold or silver and metals and then purified it to make it holy that they could use it then.
And then they can use it within the temple.
Then they could use it within the temple, absolutely, yeah, in their everyday needs.
They line the whole inside of the Holy of Holies and stuff, the walls and everything.
Yeah.
lined with gold.
So when I'm talking about that area, and Johnny, if you got a question, you got to just point it up, and I'll get you. All right, go ahead. I'll get to mine in a minute.
All right. Now I was going to bring that, the virgins, and here we have to on verse 18. Here we have to think about God's righteousness, into this point, because I looking at the internet and they're saying, it's more like misusing this virgin, for their users to do wrong with it, but like sin,
Right.
adultery, whatever. But mainly here is these young girls cannot be set free, because if they are set free out in the desert, there's going to be somebody out there going to abuse in one way or another.
Right.
So God has to protect his young women.
Absolutely.
So-
And to that point, again, I'm going to say it again real quick, so I'll let you go, is in the Hebrew culture, Hebrew society, women were taken care of from cradle to grave. Right?
Yeah.
And so this is part, so Johnny's part on there. The internet will tell you, these women were then just used as sex slaves, is what we hear about a lot today. That's not the case. They still had adultery and fornication in the laws. That was not part of what was going on here. Again, as my earlier point, they were taken in as bond servants, but also family that would then take care of them. That's why our comment earlier about, they're given a dowry. My assumption, my thoughts is they were, because they were considered family, even though they were a bondservant to that family.
And also we come back to Deuteronomy chapter 21, verse 13, which it says, she shall put off the clothes of her captivity, remain in your house, and mourn her father and her mother a full month, and after that you may go in to her and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. There's a law. There's another law, but I just pulling this up. God's righteousness, and it's God abide by God's law, and everything will go well. With
that's
with the family.
That's the whole purpose of the Bible, right? If you follow God's law, everything go well on there. Let me get to Linda real fast. I'll get back to you. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
As far as the dowry,
Uh-huh.
they got so much loot that they could have put that back. to the
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point on there. And just so everybody heard, Linda said, as part of their dowry, they had gotten so much loot from this victory that God gave them that they could have used that as their dowry, and then they probably would have dwarfed whatever the other sisters had on there.
Yeah. True. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
All right. What other comments, questions y'all got for chapter 31? That's it. All right. Well, a great chapter.
Well, I do
Okay.
have-
Okay. We got to Johnny. Hold on before everyone goes.
when it comes to vengeance or avenge somebody, what you mentioned at first, what actually happened back there, and chapter 25, what's that? Chapter 25, yeah, and verses 1, verses 4 and 5, and through 9, there's talking about, where God said to hang these people, but actually the 70 elders slaughtered them with a sword, and then they hang them up afterwards.
Okay.
So, that's the way God said to have it done, and under the sun, so everybody can see. But for the elder, they have to slaughter them by sword first.
Okay.
And there in verse 5, it does say that.
Yeah, and I can't remember. I was just thinking about the hanging because I remember that. Fortunately, my memory's not as good as it should be. But the hanging was a specific type of hanging that they did. It wasn't like
Yeah, by a rope. or
yeah,
something
but I
like
think it was
that.
also upside down
Yeah.
as a image for people not to cross you, basically. On that.
I hear there on the internet, they nail them to a post, but actually hanging from a tree. Where's the trees at? Out in the desert.
Right.
But nevertheless, that happened along with the 23 Israelites that died, plus the 1,000 of the rulers that got slaughtered. All these, total of 24,000. It's for the reason behind that, because these people want to. They got swindled into worshiping Baal in Peor, and they try to bring in that worship so they get more devotees, to come into play, and pretty much, the whole tribes, come into play.
Absolutely.
That's what he's trying to do. So that's what all the plagues.
Yeah.
just
No.
started to-
Yeah. Great points in there. And we see that today, right? To that very point is the reason God did all this is because He didn't want anything to creep into His, for lack of a better word, religious setting on there. We saw that. I'll give you a prime example. We saw that in America. When America was first formed, there was no Christmas. It was outlawed.
Exactly.
And then I believe it was from Germany. A bunch of German immigrants came over.
1836 in Georgia.
1836 in Georgia. A bunch of German immigrants came in. And if y'all don't have a chance or haven't seen this, go online and look at the celebrations that are over in Germany. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like anything here. But my point was, we let it creep in, and now everybody in the United States, no, it doesn't matter if you even believe in God, you're doing Christmas on there.
It just needs a crack.
It just needs a crack. That camel needs a little, get his nose into the tent, and then all of a sudden it's just spread throughout. So that's my soapbox. Robert, you got a quick comment on that?
Just about the hanging.
The hanging, okay.
You know, of course, there's lots of different hangings. I mean,
Yep.
You could be nailed to a tree. You could be all different types of things. But one of the things is what they call the gallows. But the
Called
gallows,
what?
The gallows.
The gallows. Uh-huh.
But the gallows wasn't a rope in those days. It was a sharpened stake. And
Yes.
they would lower you down on top of that stake.
Yeah.
From the bottom up.
Impaled, I think, is
You were
a
impaled.
proper word for that
And
one.
it was the slowest death you could ever
Ah.
imagine because it literally you had to sit there for days until it reached a vital organ to kill you.
Oh, yeah. That's there's a lot of cruelty in the world, and there's several ways. That's one. To Johnny's point on there, God's
Well,
not.
that was the one with Queen Esther.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that goes back to Queen Esther.
Yeah.
And what they impaled. What's his name? Not Mordecai, but
Haman.
Haman was impaled on his own
Yeah.
gallows.
That's not a prescribed way by God, is what I'm saying. It's according to well, not according to, but as Johnny brought up, is I'm getting the wrap up soon. I'm almost done. And the other one's going to be fast, I promise. That's not the way God is. God's quick. He didn't torture these little boys. He didn't torture. It's a quick, clean death, right? It's like when rattlesnakes show up on my front porch. I don't just slowly take care of them. I get rid of them quickly.
He's the judge.
Yes, as quickly as possible to put them out of there. I don't even want a poor rattlesnake to suffer. I want it to be clean and quick, and that's what God does. To Johnny's point, they killed them, and then they would hang them up as a sign to stay away, and as hey, this is what happens when you mess with us on there. So great Bible study. I thought it was going to go fast. I thought that one was going to go fast too. We might be in trouble, Ron. You may have to go get some cheese right now.
You didn't bring any chips.
I got chips. Oh, see, that's why you hasn't got them yet. Yeah, no, I hid the chips. All right, so thank y'all for the participation in that one. We're going to cover 32 now. I know we've got, we could take about an hour, but I don't think it's going to take that long. The title in mine says, The Tribes of Reuben and Gad Request Land East of the Jordan River. We covered this one in Deuteronomy, which hopefully as we go through, this will kind of remind you what we went through when we were going through Deuteronomy. But we'll start in verse 1. It says, The tribes of Reuben and Gad had a large number of livestock. They saw that the region of Jazer and Gilead were a good place for livestock. So they came to Moses, the priest Eleazar, and the leaders of the community, and said to them, Adaroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Eliah, Sibam, Nebo, and Beon, the land that Yahweh won for the community of Israel, is a good place for livestock. Gentlemen, we have livestock. Please give us this land as our property. Don't make us cross the Jordan River. Moses asked the tribes of Gad and Reuben, are you going to stay here while the rest of the Israelites go to war? That might discourage them from entering the land Yahweh has given them. That's what your ancestors did when I sent them forth from Kadesh Barnea to take a look at the land. They went as far as Eshcol Valley and saw the land, but then they discouraged the rest of the Israelites from entering the land that Yahweh had given them. That day Yahweh became angry and swore this oath. None of the people 20 years or older who came from Egypt will see the land I promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as an oath. This is because they didn't wholeheartedly follow me. Only Caleb, son of Jephunneh, the Kizanite, and Joshua, son of Nun, will get to see the land. This is because they wholeheartedly followed Yahweh. Since Yahweh was angry with the Israelites, he made them wander in the desert for 40 years until the whole generation of those who had done evil in Yahweh's presence was gone. You're just like your parents. You're a bunch of sinners trying to make Yahweh angry with Israel again. If you turn away from him, he will abandon all these people in the desert. You will be responsible for their destruction. Verse 16. Then the tribes of Gad, and Reuben came to Moses and said, allow us to build stone fences for our livestock and cities for our families here. Then we'll be ready to march in battle formation ahead of the other Israelites until we have brought them to their land. Meanwhile, their families will live in walled cities, safe from the other people who live here. We will not return to our homes until every Israelite has received his own land. We won't take possession of any land on the other side of the Jordan River, to the west and beyond. We already have our land here, east of the Jordan. Moses answered, do what you have said in Yahweh's presence. Have all your armed men ready for battle. Have them cross the Jordan and fight until Yahweh forces out his enemies and the land is conquered. Then you may come back. You will have fulfilled your military duty to Yahweh and Israel. This land will be your own property in Yahweh's presence. If you don't do all these things, you will be sinning against Yahweh. You can be sure that you will be punished for your sin. Build cities for your families and stone fences for your flocks, but do what you have promised. Then the tribes of Gad and Reuben said to Moses, Sir, we will do as you command. Our children, our wives, our livestock, and all of our other animals will stay here in the cities of Gilead. But in Yahweh's presence, we will all get ready for battle and go with you as you have said. So Moses gave the orders to the priests Eleazar, Joshua, son of Nun, and the family heads of the tribes of Israel. Moses told them, if the tribes of Gad and Reuben get ready for battle in Yahweh's presence and cross the Jordan River with you, and you conquer the land, give them Gilead as their own property. If they don't get ready for battle and go, 30. If they don't get ready for battle and go with you, the land they will take possession of must be in Canaan with yours. The tribes of Gad and Reuben answered, Sir, we will do as Yahweh said. We will enter Canaan as armed troops in Yahweh's presence. But the land we will take possession of is here east of the Jordan. So Moses gave the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and half the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the kingdoms of King Sihon of the Amorites and King Og of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and its surrounding territory. The tribe of Gad Gad rebuilt the cities of Dibon, Torath, Ariar, Troth, Shaphan, Jazer, Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran, all as walled cities. They also built stone fences for their flocks. The tribe of Reuben rebuilt the cities of Heshbon, Eliah, Karathim, Nebo, Baal-meon, whose name was changed, in Sibmah. These are the names they gave the cities they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and forced out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the people of Machir, the descendants of Manasseh, and they lived there. Then Jair, the descendant of Manasseh, captured the settlements of Gilead. He called them Havoth, Gerar, settlements of Jar. Naboth captured Kenath and its villages. He named it Nobah, after himself. All right. Now, everybody repeat all the names.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly.
Can you say that name?
Yeah. Gilead. What comments or questions y'all have? All right.
Well,
Yes,
well,
sir.
If Reuben doesn't and Gad doesn't cross over, what will happen? You know, if they didn't. But it says there in verse 30, they cannot keep the land they wanted. They're going to have to enter into the land of Canaan.
Right.
Correct.
So if they don't follow his directions, so remember, this is Moses' last day, and he's just giving them directions. They're about to go across the Jordan. And so he's telling the other leaders, hey, here's the agreement I made with them. If they go over and they do this and they lead you in war, great. This is their possession. If they don't, their punishment's going to be their families and everything are going to be brought from these cities that they just built and cross and give them land in Canaan. They're still going to be part of the 12 tribes, right? They're still going to have a portion in the promised land, but not outside of it.
Not outside.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great comment on there. What one thing I forgot to mention on 31, I want to go back to that real fast because Ron made me stop. He's eating chips and queso now, so he's good to go. Nobody mentioned Balaam
yeah.
in the last
yeah,
one?
I was
Yeah.
gonna say.
He died. Remember, he
Yeah.
went back to his land empty-handed. I'm going to interrupt 32 for this. But he must have come back. He had to have come back. And the thought process of that was, because he went home empty-handed, he's like, man, I need to make some money. And so he went back to this territory and then continued to entice the women to do that. So that's why he was killed. Sorry. All right. Now, back to 32. Yes, ma'am.
My mind just went blank.
I know. I brought in 31 and it just goes blank on
You
me.
messed me up.
Ron, would you put up the first map? I was trying to do it when you were back there getting stuff so that I could repay you, which did to me last week, but I wasn't fast enough at reading.
Which one?
The first one,
Oh, that's what-
not that one.
That's the first one.
The two that I gave you today. They were different. There we go. So this is the region, right? So the Moab they didn't mess with. They conquered the Amorites, and they're sitting right in that region right now. I think it says there's a plain of Moab.
Yeah.
So the plains of Moab is actually not in Moab. It's it's north of Moab, to the north of the Dead Sea. This is the area that they're in, and they're like, hey, this is great cattle area. So if you'll pull up the second one, this is what's going
You
to.
can see the greenness in
Yeah.
the picture.
Oh, not that one. There's another one. Not that one. That's me.
Definitely not that one.
That one. So this is going to become their region on there. So Reuben's going to take from Moab basically to the north part of the Dead Sea where they're at right now. Gad's going to take from the north of the Dead Sea up to, I can't remember what the other sea is. Do you remember what that sea to the north is?
Sea of Galilee.
Sea of Galilee. So they're going to take that region. And then Manasseh's going to take the even further north region on there, just to kind of give you an idea of where these groups are going to be. And so, again, when they're talking about this, when Gad and Reuben come before Moses, right? And it says, I think in verse 16, it says, the tribes of Gad and Reuben came to Moses and said, allow us to build fences and livestock. There's a specific word for this, and it looks like I did not save it, but it's a specific word in Hebrew where it's a humble, gracious request on there. This is not, hey, guess what, man? We found the best place over here. We're going to stay over here. They're coming in with humility in front of Moses to ask this request, right? So it's a sincere, heartfelt request that, hey, we've got a lot of livestock. This is what the place that we'd like to do. Is there any way that we could possibly stay here? And tell you what we'll do. We'll lead your fighting army. Our men will lead your fighting army. And so when it talks about them building cities and fences and everything else, remember, this is the area that they just destroyed with all the Midianites. So there's already cities that are started, right? They're basically saying, hey, can you let us repair what's going on here, and then we will come over. Yes, sir.
Well, actually, Jericho is right there where Gad and Reuben meet,
Yeah.
right across.
Right across. You're right. That's where they're going to go through.
Through first.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that still there today?
Well, the land's still there.
But are the Israelites?
No, it's actually
That's
it's Jordan.
Jordan.
Jordan is right there, and Amman. So what's that country? It's like Amman. It's still named very similar to
I
that.
think they're right now they're possessing a large part where like Manassas is and stuff because they're overlooking Syria.
Syria.
Right now.
Yeah.
So they're-
Is this the high plateau? or something?
yeah, the Golan Heights. and
Golan
stuff like-
Heights.
So that is actually east of the Jordan River I don't know how far, but it's a good way.
That's a good ways. So they still occupy part of Manassas on there. What I'll try to do for next week is I'll try to get a current day map and see if I can line it up to show where they were, where not. Remember, they were all taken into captivity and, then brought back or came back. So this land is no longer under the Israelites.
Yeah.
Let me get Johnny real fast, and then I'll get back over to you.
Yeah, it'll be Amman, Amman, Jordan,
Yeah.
Jordan, Damascus,
Amon.
Amman.
I think it's Amon. Jordan. You said
Jordan, Damascus.
Damascus.
What's like Syria?
What's Syria? Okay.
Yeah, Syria.
What's south of Jordan?
South of Jordan?
Mostly mountains. That's about
Yeah.
where the mountains start.
Where Reuben is,
That'd be
Oh, you mean in that-
Saudi
that's,
Arabia.
like today.
Saudi-
That's a King's Highway, and where what's the name? Petra. and
Is
all of
right
that
there?
is Right in there.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what country that was because I don't think Jordan takes that whole area.
No, that's Jordan.
The whole area is Jordan?
Yeah,
Okay.
they go
Yeah,
all
that's
the way
Jordan.
down.
Gotcha. Okay.
And under Jordan is Saudi Arabia.
So Jordan takes over Moab, Reuben, and Gad, basically, and then the Edomites too. So
Yeah.
they have that whole region now.
Big region.
Yeah. What comments you got on 32? Yes, sir.
I know this is current day, but I just saw Vivek Ramaswamy comment on this situation going on with Israel, with all the terrorist organizations going against them.
Uh-huh.
And he listed out at least four, maybe five different terrorist organizations that he said Israel just needs to wipe them out, wipe them out, wipe them out, wipe them out. Just literally take them out. Just get rid of them.
There's
Every one of them. And after the Olympic event years ago in the whatever 60s or 70s,
Right.
where Israel went out and searched down each one of the terrorists that killed them and killed them wherever they were, hunted them down. He said they need to literally do the same thing to all the leadership wherever they are. And I just find it, and he named off all these different countries. So in other words, he's saying, all the way into Syria and all these other nations, just go into these nations and wipe them out, wipe them
right.
out.
There's definitely several strong different factions that are just completely against Israel.
Anything
Oh, there,
Israel does,
yeah,
it doesn't
and I know it's made up of a what they consider a severely large Jewish population now. Still part of the tribes of Israel on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was their promised land. And Ron just gave me a map that goes all the way north of the Golan Heights and to Lebanon to the North Syria, and then Jordan all the way down to
Starts at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee and goes up.
stops at the bottom of the Sea of Galilee and goes all the way up. So yeah, they take up a large area on there. I'll try to include a map next week that just kind of shows the current versus, because we're going to get into it too pretty soon where the different tribes are broken out. So that might be a better time to have it. Hey, there's where the tribes were broken out. Here's what it looks like today, and see, compare and contrast the two on there.
Right.
Yeah.
So
The then and now.
yeah, the then and now, exactly. And all again, if they to Johnny's earlier points, had they done exactly what God said, they would still have that exact area right now today, but they didn't, and they were kicked out several times.
Do I remember that there's also a passage in the Bible that says that they will regain that land?
I don't know on that one.
I forget where.
It may say something that if you change. I think there's one that says something to the effect of, if you change your ways and you go back to my laws and blah blah blah, in my ways, and I will bring you back into the land. I promise you. Yes, sir.
I think most of that territory was lost whenever the House of Judah and the House of Israel split,
Split
because they all went to that part of
the northern 10 tribes.
the northern 10 tribes went to pagan
Scattered.
worship.
Yeah, it was just Benjamin and Judah
Benjamin, Judah, and Levi.
and Levi.
Levi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on there.
Stay
So-
put.
Yeah, exactly. What other comments, questions you got?
Yeah.
Like I said, I told you this was probably going to be a little faster.
Okay.
Because we're doing a refresher course again, basically off the Deuteronomy.
We need to go over all the names again.
I didn't hear that comment.
Yeah.
Johnny, what you got?
Okay. Well, we have here the 7 nations of Canaan. That's the promised land that God was given to Israel. But man's mentality, I said, well, I'll have something better for my family. Over here and Moab, that's a grazing farm for my cattle. We'll be okay over here, but God's plan, people need to understand, we've got to follow God's plan.
Yeah.
All through
Now,
and through.
absolutely. Keep going. I'm sorry.
And being that we have the Dead Sea, and we have the Jordan River and the Sea of Galilee. I kind of feel that's more like a protection to slow down the enemy from getting to you too quick.
It's a good thought. Yeah.
So,
A natural barrier.
But see over here where Reuben and Gad and Manasseh, the Assyrian wiped them out pretty quick. If a war broke out at that region, and that's what happened.
Right.
They got them first, but over here this got slowed down by the Dead Sea, Jordan, and the Sea of Galilee.
Yeah, to your point, there's a natural,
it's a natural
barrier on
'cause-
there.
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that all there is to Canaan? Because that didn't look very big.
There's a little bit bigger, but that's the majority of the promised land. As we kind of go through and I show you the different regions where they're going to take.
Well, it actually goes all the way south.
It goes it goes all the way south to the what's the name of that?
Yam Suf,
The water.
the Red Sea.
It's not the Red Sea. It's the it's a little branch off the Red Sea. Where I believe they cross. Come
Gaza?
come on. Yeah, help me out, huh?
Gaza, you talking about Gaza?
No, the water where I believe they
water.
crossed.
Yeah, that's the
You-
Yam Suf.
The Yam Suf? Okay.
Okay.
Yam Suf, thank you.
Which
So
is
because you got the Red
Red
Sea,
Sea.
it's a little portion off of the Red Sea.
Yeah,
Goes kind of
because it's a
northeast.
split.
Yeah, a little split there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so their property goes all the way, or their land goes all the way down to that Yam Suf today. On that. And then it goes all the way over to present day Egypt, where Gaza is, literally, I think a couple miles outside of Egypt.
It looks so small. Even, when you look at the world map and everything,
Uh-huh.
it just looks so small.
It is.
It's the
It's-
size of New Jersey.
it's,
you can drive across it in 30 minutes.
It's a little area, yeah. It's
And millions of people live there, right?
Right.
millions of people still live there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, yeah.
What? Say it again.
And everybody else wants to take it.
And everybody else wants to take it. Yeah.
That small little land, they want to take it.
Ron, you had a comment or something? Nope.
Most,
Okay.
most fought over piece of land in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Only because the Israelites lived there.
Only. Give
Yeah.
thank you. And of course, that's where the quote temple of God was
Yeah, exactly.
as well.
Mhm.
There's
something about this region,
there's something about this region. Yeah, exactly. Because you've
a
got.
gateway or some sort.
Go ahead, Ron.
Well, in ancient times, during that time, it was the most major trade route going
Yeah.
through there from Egypt
The
all
King's
the way
Highway.
over to Persia, back over.
Mm.
That was.
Well,
that's
you
why
basically
it's so
joins
hot.
Africa with Asia, right there.
Yeah.
So a lot of travel, a lot of commerce right through that region. What other comments, questions you got?
And a lot of
Oh, go ahead.
yeah, a lot of gold, a lot of jewelry in that region too. And not to
Well, a lot of it travels right through, but I don't know about the region itself. I know that it was at one time extremely fertile.
Mm,
Well, you wouldn't go too much farther east because it was all desert and everything. And during that time, if you wanted to cross from south to north, you would go along that stretch because there was water and
Yeah.
different and fertile land and everything like that, where you wouldn't, you could. It was a lot more forested. They had olive trees, they had
Right.
fruit trees, and different
Yeah.
things like that. You could eat along the way. But
Well, it's called the land of milk and honey.
yeah, I mean,
So it was very productive, just productive land.
They used to make ships in that old day out of the cedars of Lebanon. That talks about it in the Bible, about Solomon and stuff. And they made their ships out of. That's how popular and forested it was.
It was.
They replanted those trees. Those trees were literally, I watched a little documentary on that. that forest of Lebanon was truly a
Massive.
big, massive forest of huge trees, huge, and they were literally just almost completely wiped out, to where just all the mountains were just nothing.
Right. And that's how you get the erosion.
Yeah,
They did.
and somehow I forget what that documentary was talking about, but they replanted it, and it is now back. Yeah, maybe
Not to former glory, but
not
getting
to
there.
former glory, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
As far as the trees and
Oh,
stuff.
it's a lot better than
Well, any other comments, questions on 32? Like I said, it's more of a refresher of what we went through in Deuteronomy, but just some of the key points on there is the way that Gad and Reuben went to ask permission. Again, it was a very humble, gesture of, hey, if this pleases you, this pleases God, this is the region that we would like. It's great for what we have a lot of. So with your permission, we were asking to do this, right? It's very humble. And then also the soldiers that they sent that were going to lead the Israelite army. So they're saying, hey, we're gonna put our soldiers in front to lead you into battle as we go through the promised land. And those soldiers were the elite force. Like I said, probably the same ones that conquered the Midianites without losing a single soldier on there. So thank you all very much for the Bible study. Next week we'll do 33. I don't know if we're going to have a message or not. Okay, I got the nod. We have a message, so we'll do 33. We've only got 4 chapters left. So just seeing, depending on what 33, 34, 35, 36 look like, we may try to wrap it up by the next couple of weeks on there. All right? And now, if everybody would please turn to page number 38 and stand. We're going to sing His Mercy Never Fails, after which we'll get Mr. Robert King to come do our closing prayer. Page number 38. Thank you. And now for our closing prayer today, Mr. Robert King.
Our holy and merciful Heavenly Father, we are thankful that we are able to gather here together, study your words, and we pray that we apply these words to our thoughts and our minds and live them throughout our days. Thank you for all the blessings that you give us on this time on the earth. We thank you for all those that have prepared the meals for us today. Thank you for the meals. They bless the nourishment of our bodies. Please help us to live out our lives for you, as we pray in your Son's holy name. So let it be.